Hello, it's me again and welcome to a brand new episode of Bad Do It Yourself. In today's Bad Do It Yourself, we're gonna learn how to make a wooden fidget spinner. And because I want to give this to my daughter, it's probably not gonna be bad, it's probably gonna be good. Although I've never made one before and I have no idea how good it's gonna be. From a preliminary analysis, I think what you need is some wood. This is MDF actually, I think, or composite, whatever it's called, and at least one ball bearing of a size like this one, like a skateboard ball bearing. You also need some assorted tools, such as something to cut the wood and something to drill holes in the wood and whatever else we end up using over the course of this tutorial. As you can see, I don't really have a plan, so you're gonna find out what tools we're gonna need as we use them. Before we cut the outline of the fidget spinner into each of these three pieces of wood, I think the correct thing to do would be to drill the center hole first, one that will fit this ball bearing right in the middle. So when we cut the outline, we know that the hole is right in the middle. And the reason why I have three pieces of wood and not one is twofold. The first one being I need to be as thick as the ball bearing, and the other one being the weights are gonna be hidden, as you're gonna see in a moment. If you have one of these, it's gonna make your job so much easier, especially considering that we need to drill a hole this big into this, which is not that simple. I need some, let me see. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. I think I know what I'm doing, so it will probably be okay. So this is the exact size of, oh, this is actually smaller. Oh, I did the wrong one. This is the exact size. Perfect. Now if you're thinking, let's start, or you're forgetting something, where's the safety equipment? We're bad do it yourself, but we don't want to get hurt, so let's safety equipment first. Eye protection, check. Where's my hair protection though? Gloves. And make sure we don't breathe any of the terrible powder. I feel like they are not very compatible, but it should be okay. Alright, now that we're all good, we can start. Also, that's why I need hair protection. You probably don't want to put your hair next to moving things. Let me see how powerful this thing is going to be. It's not too bad. Just realized I can't really see because my hand is right in front of it. Alright, that's a bit better. Let's do this. Oh. That was easy. And it fits a ball bearing snugly, which is what I want. Maybe I can do two in one go. Sometimes they work, sometimes it doesn't, so let's find out. It kind of worked. Started kind of catching on fire because it got really hot. You don't want that. You certainly don't want that. There you go. Perfect. After you drill the holes in each of these pieces of wood, you get your fidget spinner model and draw an outline of it using a pen, just like I did here. And that's so that we can easily cut the piece of wood so it actually looks like a fidget spinner. Now, I am using a traditional fidget spinner design. You can do any design you want. You can make it more pointy, you can make it square. I don't know, you decide. Let's get cutting. But first, remember what I need to do? I need to put on all the protection equipment, like this. They look pretty good. Don't be so worried if they don't look perfect, because we can always sand it later. I mean, I will sand it later and make it very beautifully smooth. One of the reasons why I cut three pieces of these is because the thickness of one piece of wood is not the same as the thickness of the bearing. In fact, the bearing is twice, almost three times as thick as one of these pieces of wood. The other reason, however, is that I want to hide the weight. I don't want to have a fidget spinner with four bearings, one in the middle and three on each side. And by the way, if you didn't know, the reason why a fidget spinner has four bearings, even though three of them are not used at all, is because they are used as weights. You kind of need weights on the outside, so it spins faster and spins for longer. But I want to hide the weights in my fidget spinner, so I'm gonna drill three more holes, just like the one in the middle, only in the part that will be in the middle. That way, when I glue the other two parts, the weights will be hidden and all you're gonna see is the wood outside. And the reason why I chose this specific part to be the middle one is because I kind of messed up when I was cutting it, so I can hide it. Once you got the 3 pieces of the fidget spinner roughly cut, you need to get craft glue or PVA glue to glue the bottom and the middle pieces together. After you glue the pieces together, make sure you apply pressure for at least 15 minutes, at least that's what the instructions of this glue says. And also according to the instructions from the glue, it should be glued permanently in 30 minutes. I put the ball bearing in the middle because I want to make sure that the 2 pieces are perfectly aligned while the glue sets. It's kind of already spinning already, but there's more that I want to do to it. While we wait for the glue to dry, we're going to cut 2 kind of circles just larger than the size of a ball bearing to put on each side of the fidget spinner at the end when it's done. After you waited long enough for the glue to dry and you cut these pieces off and had a haircut, it's time to put the weights in our fidget spinner. What I'm going to use as weights is this washer that fits just perfectly into each hole here, kind of perfectly, kind of have to press a bit hard. And then in the middle where it's like there's nothing, we can put a tiny little nut like this and it's perfect, you see? Now that the weights are mostly inserted except for this nut that keeps falling, we can sand this part to make it really smooth and also sand the top part to make it really smooth and then glue the 2 pieces together and then the first step is done. After waiting for about an hour, the glue is completely dry, so now comes the next step to finish this beautiful fidget spinner. Because we used 3 different pieces of wood, they were not cut exactly the same. In fact, they cut very differently because I was not very good at it. Some might say that I was bad at it. And to attempt to fix that, I'm going to sand the edges so it's perfectly exactly the same. And that's why I'm here in the laundry, because I don't want to make a mess in the living room. Now, this might take some time. After a lot of patience and a lot of work, it looks pretty good. It's not perfect by any means, but it's quite smooth. I also smoothed the edges so they are not sharp, and it looks really nice. Before we glue the ball bearing to the center of the fidget spinner, I want to paint it. I could very well leave it like this. It actually doesn't look too bad, but Amelie loves pink and I like pink, and Shelly will eventually like pink, so I'm gonna paint it pink. Once the paint dries, it looks the way you want it to look. Oh, I just put blue paint on it. It's time for us to put the ball bearing right in the center of the fidget spinner. I bought a pack of like 5 ball bearings from eBay, so I'm gonna choose the one that I think works best, the one that seems to be faster. I also lubricated them a bit. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna get the ball bearing and insert right in the middle, and because of the paint it's a bit harder, but still doable. Yep. If a lot of paint went inside, you might need to sand it a little bit so you can put it easily. Once it's in there, we're gonna glue it. So what you do is you put it on the sides, but be careful to not glue the ball bearing to itself, otherwise it's not gonna spin anymore, and we definitely don't want that. Once that dries, you need to get a piece of wood, like a round piece of wood or even a square piece of wood that you can cut into this round little thingy here, and make sure it's a size that you can insert into the ball bearing like this, so you can hold and spin it like that. Of course, we're not gonna leave it like that. She's really desperate to play with this, but it's not done yet. It's not done yet. And then you get the same glue that you used to glue the ball bearing into the inside of the fidget spinner, and glue this piece of wood in the middle. Again, without gluing the ball bearing to itself. Oop, oopsie daisy. Also, when you're using super glue, make sure you don't glue your fingers together or something like that. Although if you do, you're not gonna die. I've done it so many times in my life, and I'm still here. My fingers are still here. Once it dries, what you need to do is you need to sand this piece of wood just enough. Now remember the 2 circles that we cut that match the size of the ball bearings? Well, I sanded them so they are perfectly round, and I also sanded the edges a little bit and painted them white, and now Amelie's gonna paint them with whatever she wants. Alright, do you wanna paint this? What color do you want first?
I have purple.
once you let the paint of these two pieces dry, what you're gonna do is glue on each side, and then the fidget spinner is done.